Hey friends, it's Robin, and welcome back to the Science of Self-Care. Excuse my morning voice. It's early and cold here in New York, and I'm about to go on my morning walk. But before I do, I actually wanted to review the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, in which I walked 15,000 steps every single day. It was my New Year's resolution for both of these years. I'm no longer continuing this resolution in the new year, but I definitely think I have some tips and takeaways that might be helpful to anyone who is also interested in walking more or figuring out their sort of step count sweet spot. So today I'll be talking about the benefits and drawbacks of walking 15,000 steps every single day. In terms of benefits of this habit, I think the most surprising benefit was not at all physical, but mental. This habit saved me through COVID when everyone was cooped up. I made sure every morning, lunchtime, and evening to be going for walks, and that fresh air, that movement made all the difference. And there are a number of studies linking walking to improvements in mental health. I've made a video on walking in the past and why it's so great, which I'll link below, but I was just really personally surprised by the difference it made in my mental well-being. The second benefit is that I feel like I got a lot of really good deep sleep. Now, this is partially because I was moving my muscles every day and making sure to tire out my physical body a little bit, but something that not a lot of people think about is how much actual exposure to real daylight outside we get. In the back of our eyes, we have retinal ganglion cells that specifically sense light and send it to the central clock in our brain that sort of runs our sleep-wake cycles, our circadian rhythms. So by actually getting a lot of daylight, you can help your body understand when it's daytime and when it's nighttime, which can help all of your different biological clocks in your body. I've made a video on circadian rhythms as well, so I will link that below. There's a huge difference between the amount of light. For example, now I'm getting through a window versus when I step outside. Even during the winter, there might be 10 times as much light outside as indoors. So it's really important that we get those little moments out in daylight to help our body understand when it's been day and when it's night and time to sleep. Another benefit of walking is that I finally discovered how I learn best. And I was always a very hyperactive kid that had trouble concentrating in school. But while walking, I found that I can remember and learn things so well. For anyone who's familiar with the idea of a memory palace, where you walk around a space and sort of tie memories and information to specific objects, walking while listening to audiobooks or podcasts is kind of like a live memory palace. You're walking around the world and tying different bits of information to different markers and milestones in your journey. This has worked so well for me. I still have specific memories and things that I learned in specific streets of Amsterdam that are seared into my brain. So I'm really impressed at how well I was able to retain information while walking and moving. There are a few studies, not many, that also look at whether walking and movement can help retain information, and there is some suggestion that there is a correlation. For me personally, I've just found this very much to be true. So if you're someone who has to do a lot of reading, even on the internet, you can do this reading while walking. There's an app called Speechify. This is not sponsored, but I really appreciate this app because you can take any blog post, any link, any PDF, and essentially turn it into an audible piece with an AI voice reading you that article. It's pretty amazing. Another benefit of walking is that it helped me create really healthy habits, especially in the evening. Before I started this challenge, in the evening I would often be doing mindless things, maybe going on the internet or scrolling through my phone. But by having this daily goal I had to reach, often by 8 p.m. I still had to walk 4,000 or 5,000 steps. So that really prompted me to go out and go for an evening walk rather than just sit on my computer or phone and sort of, I don't want to say waste the evening, but do something with my evening that I wouldn't even remember the next day. These evening walks were so special. I would do them either alone, but also with my partner or with my sister, a loved one. I would call my mom. So they also became very social moments in the evening. And I think often when we're scrolling through social media in the evening, we often want to unwind, but we also often just want to connect with other people. So walking with a loved one is such a healthy way to do both of those things. I want to talk about some of the drawbacks of walking. Truth be told, walking is very inefficient when it comes to time and bang for your buck in terms of exercise. It takes you twice as long to walk a mile as it does to run a mile. So if you're someone who does not have a lot of time, you probably want to maybe incorporate a walk in your day, but you'll also want to incorporate some high intensity training or some sprint intervals to really get the most out of your time that you do have to work out. I was able, as I mentioned, to combine working with walking by reading things and writing while walking. It sounds crazy, but I write in the notes app on my phone. But this inefficiency is certainly one of the reasons I'm no longer strictly continuing this habit into the new year. Another drawback of walking is that I don't think it's going to monumentally change your physique. If you're someone who's looking to lose a large amount of weight to get into a healthy weight range, then this is probably not the most important physical activity that you should be doing. I think it's a great complement to other higher intensity forms of physical activity, like sprint intervals and HIIT workouts and weightlifting. These are going to ensure that you're building muscle mass that are also going to help raise your basal metabolic rate. The same is not going to be true for walking. I was surprised at how well I retained my core strength, but I certainly didn't build any huge new muscles or, abs through this. Probably my biggest takeaway from these past 2 years is that walking can be a wonderful, healthy activity that you can combine with other things like learning and socializing. In that vein, I actually started a podcast recently called CITATIONS, a lot of similar content to this YouTube channel, science, self-care, and all things wellness. This podcast is specifically designed to be listened to on short 10-minute walks so that you can get out the door, get moving, and also learn something interesting about your body or about self-care. I hope this wasn't all too rambly. I'm gonna go on my morning walk now because I'm looking outside and it's beautiful and light and I'm ready to get going. I would love to know what your relationship to walking is, how many steps you're currently walking each day, and if you have any goals to increase that in this new year. Let us know down below and let's share. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.